It's a good bounce back win for us today. I thought we started the game with the right tone on the defensive end. And so that was that was by design.
Chelsea Gray's name carried weight until it didn't. Her omission from the latest Team USA roster signals more than a simple shuffle. It marks the collapse of a long-standing selection philosophy in international basketball. 4 years, veteran loyalty, Olympic medals, and locker room influence shaped the blueprint. That blueprint has now been discarded in favor of immediate impact, speed, and adaptability in a global game no longer intimidated by tradition. In that context, Gray and Brittany Greer, once considered untouchable, became expendable. This wasn't about personalities, it was about philosophy. Team USA has redrawn its map with a youth-centered roster that prioritizes versatility, shooting, and athleticism over tenure and accolades. With Caitlin Clark emerging as the offensive centerpiece, the focus is clearly on a team built to evolve with international play rather than rest on past legacy. The leak hit like a shockwave. Clark was in, Gray was out, Greer also gone. And it wasn't a drawn-out political maneuver. It was a clean, direct cut by the coaching staff. Silence from officials spoke volumes. This wasn't about who had been great, but who is great now. Gray, Olympic gold medalist and veteran WNBA champion, found herself on the wrong side of a shifting standard, not for lack of skill or achievement, but because the game had evolved and Team USA wasn't waiting. Her absence was a statement that output now outweighs sentiment. Injuries, age, and redundancy at her position justified the change. Greer, too, was sidelined, not for personal reasons but philosophical ones. A decade of global dominance couldn't override the new vision. Fast, versatile, perimeter-oriented, where traditional bigs, no matter how iconic, no longer fit the puzzle. Leadership and legacy mattered, but the staff's singular goal was constructing a roster capable of winning against modern international competition. The drama goes beyond individual names. It signals the end of an era. Icons like Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, and Sylvia Fowles once passed the torch with the assumption that legacy carried weight, but now that torch is being seized, not handed down. The new leadership isn't honoring history. It's rewriting it, and fans are split. Some embrace the youth movement. Others feel betrayed as familiar faces are left behind. Team USA has drawn a line. No middle ground, no safe picks, just a full reset, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Caitlin Clark sits at the center of this controversial rebuild, and her performance will define the experiment. Gold and critics vanish, falter, and backlash will be brutal. Every moment is under scrutiny. Practice, games, media interactions, every highlight and every foul dissected. International defenders won't relent. They'll test her physically, disrupt her rhythm, and try to expose weaknesses immediately. If she rises to the challenge, she becomes the new face of USA basketball. If not, the consequences are glaring. Amid the media frenzy, the core message is clear. This roster shakeup is transformative, a generational pivot in American women's basketball. Behind the scenes, the selection process was contentious, with heated debates between analytics teams advocating youth and veteran coaches favoring experience. Some focused on Paris, others on LA 2028. Ultimately, the future won, driven by the understanding that the world has caught up. Dominance can no longer be inherited. Every roster spot must be earned. Competition demanded tough choices, including questioning tradition itself. What if legacy was holding the team back? What if past reputation slowed progress? The fallout was immediate. Once the roster leaked, the internet erupted. Fans were angry, bewildered, and in some cases exhilarated. Leaving Gray and Greer off the team wasn't just surprising. For some, it felt almost sacrilegious. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's inclusion ignited a separate firestorm. Hadn't she been excluded from the previous Olympic roster? Had circumstances changed, or had this always been the plan? Insiders clarified that the decision wasn't about external pressures, TV ratings, merchandise sales, or social media followings, but about fit. Clark's shooting, court vision, and ability to stretch defenses made her indispensable. She earned her spot not for popularity, but because the team's style demanded her skills. While Kathy Angelbert offered few direct confirmations, her statements conveyed a clear message. Team USA needed to do more than win. They needed to evolve. In her approach, evolution means analyzing data, adapting to global trends, and making choices that won't always satisfy everyone. Some decisions sting, but the goal is unmistakable. This is about shaping the next chapter. Clinging to past accolades, no matter how impressive, won't prepare Team USA for the challenges in Paris or Los Angeles. Clark's inclusion wasn't a marketing stunt. She has carried Indiana's momentum on her back from day one, making highlight plays and sinking logo threes as if it were routine. Her stats spoke louder than any pundit's debate, and her ability to dictate the pace of a game was precisely what this roster required. Yet her selection ignited controversy. Critics asked, how could someone cut weeks ago now be central to the team? But those critics missed the bigger picture. The game itself is evolving, and Clark isn't an anomaly. She's the prototype. This roster shift represents a fundamental blueprint overhaul. Team USA's new philosophy prioritizes spacing, tempo, and versatility, moving away from relying on a dominant post-up center to overpower smaller teams, a strategy no longer effective against international squads drilling threes, pressing defensively, and pushing in transition for 40 minutes. The focus is now on players who can switch across multiple positions, stretch the floor, and guard the perimeter, resulting in a younger, faster, and sharper squad built not for nostalgia, but for sustained success. This team isn't just for Paris 2024, it's a foundation for LA 2028, with an average age in the mid-20s and every selection made with multiple Olympic cycles in mind. The strategy is clear: win now while developing a core that grows together over the next 4 years, and that's where Caitlin Clark becomes central. She isn't just another scorer. The system is designed around her skill set, with defenders, shooters, and versatile wings added to complement her. The goal is a cohesive unit that peaks just as the spotlight hits in Los Angeles. But every addition means someone is left out, and for fans of veterans like Griner or Gray, their absence stings. They helped build Team USA's legacy, and leaving them off feels like erasure, intentional or not. Even Clark, publicly respectful and composed, was reportedly taken aback by the abrupt shift. She isn't replacing anyone. She's seizing an opportunity, carrying enormous pressure to lead. The urgency isn't just internal. International women's basketball is catching up fast, with countries like Australia, France, and Spain fielding shooters, slashers, and strategies that punish teams stuck in outdated approaches. Time is now the enemy. Can this new roster gel in time for Paris? Can Clark lead under pressure? And can coaches withstand the inevitable scrutiny if the plan falters? Clark's inclusion wasn't symbolic. In scrimmages and workouts, she consistently stretched defenses in ways unseen since Diana Taurasi's prime, pulling defenders 30 feet from the basket, opening driving lanes, and disrupting defensive sets. Her impact goes beyond shooting. Her pace, off-screen movement, precise passing, and relentless pressure on every possession make her a leader, not a role player. Other quiet cuts, like Veronica Burton, underscore the ruthlessness of the process. Reliable defenders and steady performers were left behind for players with higher upside, more offensive firepower, and greater versatility. No one was punished for mistakes. The ceiling simply wasn't high enough. Team USA is no longer filling gaps. They're chasing dominance, and anyone who can't perform at elite pace on both ends has no place. It's harsh, but that intensity is exactly what earns gold medals. Training camp insiders confirm it from the first whistle. No spot felt secure, and every player knew the stakes. Players once considered automatic locks found themselves being outperformed as younger talent demanded the ball, pushed the pace, and asserted themselves in ways veterans hadn't anticipated. Some veterans adapted, others struggled, creating a simmering tension that defined every day of training. At one scrimmage, coaches huddled silently in a corner, taking notes, and a staffer was overheard saying, "We're going to have to be bold." This is the energy that built this roster: game tape and hard conversations, not handshakes and memories. Exhibition matches reflected that intensity. Possessions moved faster, the ball wasn't dumped into the post, and players like Clark orchestrated pick and rolls, tore through defenses. Wings stretched the floor, and bigs switched seamlessly on the perimeter. Fans noticed the shift immediately. This wasn't the old Team USA formula, but a faster, sharper, more flexible squad that relied on current performance over yesterday's reputations. The final roster decision wasn't a vote or consensus. Sources say the head coach made it decisively, committing fully to a new style, speed, shooting, and versatility over comfort or tradition. Clark, speaking for the first time after the leak, described herself as honored and focused on daily improvement, but insiders note her drive runs deeper. She's determined to prove she isn't just the future of women's basketball, she's the present. Yet the biggest question remains, can this newly assembled group mesh under Olympic pressure? Dominating training camp is one thing, performing seamlessly on the world stage is another entirely. Gelling in high-pressure moments against seasoned international teams is an entirely different challenge. Chemistry doesn't form on its own. With a younger roster, leadership must emerge quickly. Clark may be the face of the team, but vocal anchors are essential, players who can sustain intensity without letting ego take over. That culture takes time, and with veteran stabilizers gone, the risk is real. If this team falters under pressure, the backlash will be severe. Opponents are well aware of the transition and are already preparing to exploit it. International squads have analyzed the roster, spotting youth and speed, but also gaps in size, untested rotations, and a leadership void. Teams like France and Spain, long reliant on cohesion and crisp ball movement, see an opportunity to level the playing field. They plan to trap Clark, pressure her physically, switch constantly, and challenge every rotation. Team USA can no longer rely solely on raw talent. The new system must perform flawlessly under fire, or the window to maintain dominance could close rapidly. The drama goes beyond individual names. It signals the end of an era. Icons like Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, and Sylvia Fowles once passed the torch with the assumption that legacy carried weight, but now that torch is being seized, not handed down. The new leadership isn't honoring history. It's rewriting it, and fans are split. Some embrace the youth movement. Others feel betrayed as familiar faces are left behind. Team USA has drawn a line. No middle ground, no safe picks, just a full reset, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Caitlin Clark sits at the center of this controversial rebuild, and her performance will define the experiment. Gold and critics vanish, falter, and backlash will be brutal. Every moment is under scrutiny. Practice, games, media interactions, every highlight and every foul dissected. International defenders won't relent. They'll test her physically, disrupt her rhythm, and try to expose weaknesses immediately. If she rises to the challenge, she becomes the new face of USA basketball. If not, the consequences are glaring. Amid the media frenzy, the core message is clear. This roster shakeup is transformative, a generational pivot in American women's basketball. Behind the scenes, the selection process was contentious, with heated debates between analytics teams advocating youth and veteran coaches favoring experience. Some focused on Paris, others on LA 2028. Ultimately, the future won, driven by the understanding that the world has caught up. Dominance can no longer be inherited. Every roster spot must be earned. This shift ruffled feathers, but it forced USA basketball to confront a long-avoided truth. Legacy doesn't win games anymore. Medals, accolades, and history matter to fans and marketing, but when the whistle blows, it's about who can deliver today. Cuts like Chelsea Gray and Brittany Griner weren't personal. They were mathematical. If performance dips, roles overlap, or bodies slow, spots go to those who fit the modern game. Enter the new core. Caitlin Clark is lead guard and shot creator, surrounded by versatile wings, floor-stretching bigs, and functional guards, players built for speed, switching, and the demands of international competition. This roster is a long-term investment, with an eye on Paris 2024 and Los Angeles 2028, prioritizing skill sets over experience. Social media exploded. Clark's logo threes go viral. Debates about Gray and Griner dominate comment threads, and even athletes weigh in, fueling visibility and pressure. Chemistry is critical. Clark must earn trust, lead without overpowering, and integrate seamlessly into a system built for collective dominance. For veterans left behind, the silence underscores a career crossroads. Some may never wear red, white, and blue again. The roster is locked. The philosophy is bold. Prioritize output over history. upside over comfort, and evolution over tradition. The stakes are high. If it succeeds, it sets a blueprint other nations may emulate. If it fails, critics demand a return to the old ways. Every possession, every lineup, every media moment matters. This isn't just about winning now. It's about proving a high-risk, high-reward vision. Team USA isn't repeating history. It's rewriting it, and Caitlin Clark is at the center of that gamble. If you want, I can also rewrite it in a punchy YouTube-ready narration style that's perfect for voiceover without losing the drama. Do you want me to do that next? The drama goes beyond individual names. It signals the end of an era. Icons like Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, and Sylvia Fowles once passed the torch with the assumption that legacy carried weight, but now that torch is being seized, not handed down. The new leadership isn't honoring history. It's rewriting it, and fans are split. Some embrace the youth movement. Others feel betrayed as familiar faces are left behind. Team USA has drawn a line. No middle ground, no safe picks, just a full reset, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Caitlin Clark sits at the center of this controversial rebuild, and her performance will define the experiment. Gold and critics vanish, falter, and backlash will be brutal. Every moment is under scrutiny. Practice, games, media interactions, every highlight and every foul dissected. International defenders won't relent. They'll test her physically, disrupt her rhythm, and try to expose weaknesses immediately. If she rises to the challenge, she becomes the new face of USA basketball. If not, the consequences are glaring. Amid the media frenzy, the core message is clear. This roster shakeup is transformative, a generational pivot in American women's basketball. Behind the scenes, the selection process was contentious, with heated debates between analytics teams advocating youth and veteran coaches favoring experience. Some focused on Paris, others on LA 2028. Ultimately, the future won, driven by the understanding that the world has caught up. Dominance can no longer be inherited. Every roster spot must be earned.